Why this story matters. Positive change rarely happens overnight, but stories like this show it is happening nonetheless. Quick summary: this story highlights recent developments related to Dred Scott, showing how constructive action can lead to meaningful results, by Lori Lakin Hutcherson, GBN Editor-in-Chief on March 6, with an 800 United States Supreme Court Chief Justice Roger Taney oversaw a 7-2 vote against enslaved spouses Dred Scott and Harriet Scott, who had bravely and rightfully petitioned the court for their freedom. As agreed to in the Missouri Compromise, if enslaved people worked and lived in free states with or for their owners, this gave the enslaved persons the right to be free. Would you like to read more good news about Dred Scott, Missouri history, St. Louis, Chief Justice Roger Taney, and Missouri Compromise? However, in the majority opinion, Chief Justice Taney stated all people of African descent, free or enslaved, weren't U.S. citizens and therefore did not have the right to sue in federal court, on top of having the gall to argue that the Missouri Compromise was unconstitutional, as well as the Kansas-Nebraska Act. This U.S. Supreme Court decision outraged Northern politicians and abolitionists, while bolstering Southern politicians and pro-slavery adherents. The debate raged so deeply that it stoked both sides to believe that only war or secession would solve the nation's slavery dilemma. Though they didn't obtain their freedom through the justice system, the Scots were purchased by people who freed them in May of 1850. Dred found work as a porter of innocence, Louis Hotel, until he contracted tuberculosis and died in September 1868. Harriet continued living in St. Louis, working as a washerwoman to support herself and her daughters. She lived through the Civil War, witnessing the final abolition of slavery, and passed away on June 20, 1806. In 1974, Dred Scott and Harriet Robinson Scott were posthumously inducted into the St. Louis Walk of Fame. On March 6, 2017, 160 years to the day after the horrible Supreme Court decision, Charlie Taney, the great-great-grand nephew of Justice Taney, apologized on behalf of his family to Lynn Jackson, the great-great-granddaughter of the Scotts, outside the Maryland State House in front of Roger Taney's statue. In August 2017, the same statue of Taney was removed from the entrance of Maryland State House. In 2020, a new 9-foot-tall granite memorial monument for Dred Scott was dedicated at Calvary Cemetery in St. Louis, Mo. To learn more about Dred Scott, Harriet Robinson Scott, and the Dred Scott decision, check out the PBS video What Was the Dred Scott Decision? The 2019 book Dred Scott, The Inside Story by David Hardy, 2008 Dred Scott and the Problem of Constitutional Evil by Mark A. Graber, and the 2009 book on Harriet Scott called Mrs. Dred Scott, A Life on Slavery's Frontier by Lee Van Velder. Sources: https://www.pbs.org. Video American Experience. What was Dred Scott Decision? https://www.archives.gov. Milestone Documents. Dred Scott v. Sanford. https://www.washingtonpost.com. Lockoff from a descendant of Roger Taney to descendant of Dred Scott in Missouri. 20,170 10,362,870,110,8-0286-11 E7B1E9A05D3C21F7CS story.html https://news.sdo.publicradio.org shows through on the air tuned in 20-09-20 to Thursday the effort to make Dred Scott's grave a place worthy of pilgrimage https://www.nps.gov. Prepare Harriet Robinson Scott.htm buttons auspicient medium website at campaign experience and more content large https://www.villagetrip.com. Commentary Michael Colcord. Feeling things you didn't know about Dred Scott case article 74 FB 150 F8 BD 6-5 F30 8B9A 9-19 DB 2A DBT and Dean story Dred Scott case https://wams.night history.org nation of item tabulum Harriet Robinson Scott : text but 20 Irene 20 Kep 20 the 20 money support 20 SL 20 and 20 her 20 Emily. Article goodheadlines.org curates positive and solution-focused stories from trusted sources around the world.